everybody. It is Friday, December 20th. We are a weekend away from the Christmas holiday and Festivus. I am Ian Glendon. I am the host of this show, and I am joined, as always, by my friend, my man, Mr. Rhode Island himself, Mr. Mike Debate. Mike, how are we doing today?
La la la. I'm doing well, my friend. Day 2 of construction here at Del Boca Vista Phase 2, but hopefully the background noise won't be quite as bad today as it was yesterday, folks. But Ian, you're right. We're a weekend away from the Christmas holiday, just a few days removed from Festivus, and just really a few days removed from the end of 2019 and the end of yet another decade. Amazing.
Absolutely, and if you guys haven't noticed already, we are running on bizarro Tom Coughlin time right now because we say we start at 8, but generally we start 5 minutes later than what we say, as opposed to Tom Coughlin time, as we all know. So, and if you weren't tuning in yesterday, or if you weren't paying attention to any sports news, we know that he was fired by the Jaguars yesterday. So it was a nice little callback there, Mike, and a little Superman / Seinfeld reference. See, I thought I was going to be behind the 8 ball a little bit today, the magic 8 ball, as they say, but not today. Not today. I think I'm finding myself here early on in the show because we got a lot to talk about, and I'm excited.
Absolutely. I am as well. A lot of great action in the NFL this week. No Thursday night football, but we've got Saturday football, Sunday football, and then a big Monday nighter. And always a lot of news around the NFL at this time. This is right about the time that the NFL season is wrapping up. Division races are being decided. Playoff seeding is being determined. Great stuff. Great time to be an NFL fan right now.
Yeah, it kind of, I'm not going to lie, it kind of threw me off last night. No Thursday night football. I kind of forgot what day it was, and I don't know, it felt different. I mean, I was able to sit down, relax, and watch the Bruins and focus solely on the Bruins. There wasn't a Thursday night game to watch, and so it was different, but I'm excited for this weekend because, again, we got 3 games. We talked about briefly yesterday, obviously the Patriots being one of those teams playing tomorrow, and I can't wait for that. I can't wait to wake up tomorrow morning and then remember that there's 3 football games on tomorrow. So that I'm looking forward to that, to be honest with you. So we got that, and then, of course, Sunday, and you mentioned Monday night, Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings. Basically the NFC North is on the line there, and a lot of playoff implications going on this weekend, but I do want to start real quick, briefly. The NFL announced their Hall of Fame class centennial finalists for this upcoming class. Obviously, last week we got the player finalists, and now we get the coaches, the contributors, and so on and so forth. So, to give you an idea, some of the coaches on that list: Bill Cowher, Tom Flores, talk about a guy who deserves to get into the Hall of Fame. I mean, the guy's been waiting forever. Tom Flores, Mike Holmgren, Jimmy Johnson, Buddy Parker, Dan Reeves, Dick Vermeil. And then from the contributor side, Bud Adams, Ralph Hay, Frank Kilroy, Art McNally, Art Modell, Clint Murchison, Steve Sable, Ed Sprinkle, and Al Wistert. So, I like these because, again, it gives a chance for some of these guys that maybe have lost their eligibility or whatever in terms of getting into the Hall of Fame, or guys that have kind of fallen by the wayside because their era was so long ago. I'm kind of surprised that Robert Kraft isn't a finalist, and before I decided I was going to bring that up, I kind of thought about it. I'm like, okay, am I just being a homer or whatever? But this league has been around for 100 years, and Robert Kraft has been an owner of the New England Patriots for 25% of the existence of this league, and the results speak for themselves. 10 Super Bowl appearances under Robert Kraft as the owner. Obviously 6 Super Bowl titles, and him being obviously an integral part of how the game is today. So I was kind of surprised that he wasn't on those lists. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is an excellent list with some great names and people that did some great things for football on this list, and I think that it's going to be a tough choice for these people to narrow down to choose 15 members. But I'm sorry, the 15-member committee No, I'm sorry. Yes, 15 members of the Centennial class. It's going to be hard to kind of narrow that down. But I was surprised that Robert Kraft wasn't at least made a finalist. And for all you drama people out there, Bill Belichick was one of the people on the panel. So, ooh, just saying, just saying. But I'm not saying. I'm just, you never know. Just saying though. Saying, Mike. I'm saying.
Yeah, you're saying. Yeah, you're saying. There's not a whole lot of what you're saying right there, but there is now.
Yeah,
All kidding
but I'm
aside.
saying it. I'm saying it,
But you're
and that's all
saying
that
it.
matters.
But are you saying it with a G or just saying it with an
I'm
N?
no, I'm
Because there's a
saying it.
difference.
Yes, I'm
Oh,
saying
okay.
it, and
So
I'm
so we're
mhm.
not talking about this as an actual idea. We're not actually
No,
speaking
no, no.
about it. We're just talking about it.
I'm saying I don't know, and you don't know, so you never know that Bill Belichick never maybe he made a what this tells me what this tells me. Bill Belichick stood up on a table and demanded that Robert Kraft and get in into the Hall of Fame because he traded Jimmy Garoppolo and he forced Bill Belichick to trade Jimmy Garoppolo and not keep Tom Brady, even though the Patriots have been
Yes,
3 straight Super Bowls, won 2 of them,
absolutely.
and so on and so forth. But I'm just saying, that's all. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Follow
So
me
that's
at
it.
Bomani
So
underscore Jones. Oh, I'm sorry. I
that's
got
right.
confused for a second. Anyways, go ahead. Go ahead.
That's right. That's right, folks. So we're just so the takeaway from the day today is Ian's just saying. He's just
Just
saying.
saying.
All right,
Just
but any
saying.
case, and I completely agree with you. I really am surprised, and I'm probably a little bit more surprised than not. And I don't think you're being a homer by saying this. Look, Robert Kraft has been instrumental in the success of the New England Patriots over the last 25 years that he's owned the team. You take a look at the success level, the amount of Super Bowls, division titles, conference titles, you name it. Robert Kraft has been a part of it, and it's been a part of something special, this league and this team, for quite some time. Put that aside, whether you're a Patriots fan, whether you're a Patriots hater, there's a lot of reasons why people may not care or not want to see Robert Kraft enshrined in Canton. Robert Kraft has been one of the instrumental owners in bringing sides together when it comes to the NFLPA and when it comes to the ownership. He was instrumental in avoiding a work stoppage a few years ago. Everybody remembers the press conference and those indelible images of him embracing Jeff Saturday, who was the president of the NFLPA at the time. This was something that was huge, and Robert Kraft was a big part of that. To not honor him for enshrinement in Canton, to me, is a little disingenuous. Now, is this to say that he's never going to get in? Absolutely not. I believe he will. Do I think maybe outside circumstances affected what the voters did this year? I'm just, again, like you,
Just
I'm just
saying.
saying. I'm just saying it could be that maybe some of the things that surrounded Kraft in the press this year may not have made him such a popular target and a popular selection for this honor this year. So I think it's a foregone conclusion. I think Robert Kraft will be in anyway, but at the same time, I don't think any type of transgression or anything like that that's gone on is enough to warrant him not getting in this year. Honor the man when you can. We've come to the realization, folks, that life is short no matter who you are, no matter what walk of life that you are. You have to treasure every moment. And if he's eligible and he deserves enshrinement, and he hasn't done anything to completely, wipe his name off the face of the earth when it comes to honorability, then he should be. And I don't think Robert Kraft has done that. It was surprising to me that he wasn't honored this year.
Well, think about what we have going on right now in Los Angeles and how we have these fights over how much money cities and taxpayers should pay for these gigantic massive this isn't just a bowl with some bleacher seats anymore. These football stadiums are massive complexes. So in an age where you're constantly fighting with cities and San Diego pops up, who's going to pay for what? Robert Kraft funded a majority of Gillette Stadium through private funding. This isn't, through taxpayer money. This is something that doesn't happen often. So, and that's something that, yeah, that speaks volumes as to who you are as an owner. And again, he took a team that had no prior NFL success in terms of winning. Obviously, they had been to one Super Bowl, but They were coming out of some very very lean years there in the early '90s, and he took them, and since then has sold out every home game, and they've been the winningest franchise since that point. Not just, I mean, obviously, you can point to a lot of the post 2001 years as why that's the case, but just go back to those early years with Kraft. I mean, they went to a Super Bowl, they won a couple divisions, so this team has been incredibly successful. Since 1994. And again, I tell you that spans nearly half of the Super Bowl era and a quarter of the entire existence of the NFL. So to me, especially this year, when again there's a little extra added celebration to all these things because it is the centennial year, it is the 100th anniversary. I was really surprised that he didn't get in, and again, I don't see a reason why. Well, not that he didn't get in, but he wasn't at least a finalist. I mean, you can argue about whether or not he should be a finalist, but he's got a jacket waiting for him at some point. I don't think it's a question of if he gets in; it's a question of when. But who knows the mentality of the people, the voters? Again, we see the mentality in the everyday fan and journalists and all that when it comes to the Patriots. So you never know what sort of wacky narrative has seeped into the subconscious of these folks, and they let that dictate how they make their decisions. But who knows, we'll see. But I was a little bit disappointed in that. I would have liked to see him get in, and again, without obviously saying the obvious, but he is getting up there in age, so it would be nice to see that maybe he would get honored while he's still alive, type of thing. And again, I'm not trying to be morbid or anything like that. I'm just, he's 77, 78 years old. Let's be honest. So, but yeah, I was pretty disappointed not to see him in there. But we're not here to talk about that all day. You know what we're here to talk about, Mike? Mike.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Yeah, there you go, Mike. And trust me, once again, we are lucky that Tom Coughlin doesn't run this organization, because we were 10 minutes behind Coughlin time, and you would have got fined for this. Even though you're not supposed to get fined, you would have got fined. Trust me.
Oh yeah, absolutely, because that's important. Because
yes.
The rules and the regulation. Well, okay, I'm not going to go there. Right? We talked about Coughlin and everything.
Chaos.
That's right. Without rules, there's chaos. Yeah, no, we have a whole lot of football to talk about. So we briefly mentioned the Texans, Bucks, Patriots, Bills, and Rams 49. Well, actually, we didn't really do too much in the Rams 49ers, and we're gonna get into that. But I mean, there's a whole bunch of huge games coming up here this Sunday. Bengals, Dolphins. Hey, seeding in the lottery. You never know. Maybe the Bengals squeak a couple out here at the end and lose that number 1 overall pick. Browns, Ravens. The Browns obviously are clinging to playoff hopes, although I don't think either of us think that they're going to do it. Saints and Titans, more so for the Titans. Big game for the Saints too because of seeding, but the Titans really need to win this one if they want a chance to win this division, the AFC South, and get a chance, one more crack at the Texans in Week 17. So they're going to have to win that one. Eagles, Cowboys, obviously, goes without saying. Who's going to suck less and win the NFC East? Well, we're going to find out because this is going to be a big one. And Chiefs Bears, that's a pretty big interconference matchup there for a number of reasons. Obviously, the Chiefs are fighting for seeding as well, and
Bears.
Dub Bears. That's right, the Bears. The Bears. You get the Chiefs. Obviously, they could take advantage if say the Patriots, knock on wood, lose or whatever, they can take advantage and leapfrog them if they win. So a lot of big stuff, good stuff, big stuff, Mike. So of course you're looking forward to the Patriots game. What's the game you're most looking forward to this weekend?
I got to say the Monday Nighter, the Green Bay Packers
Yes.
and the Minnesota Vikings. I think this game right now is going to decide a lot in the NFC. And look, the class of the NFC, I think a lot of people still look at it. We talked about it yesterday. I still look at the 49ers and the Saints as the top 2 teams in the conference. I think Seattle is nipping at the heels right there. And they could be a one there. You can very easily make the argument that there might be equal or maybe even some case to the 49ers. But Green and Minnesota, to me, right now, it's going to decide the division. And I think we're going to see what both of these teams are made of. I think we're going to see what Minnesota's made of and whether or not that Kirk Cousins offense that has been, I think, vastly underrated this year can get its just due on a national stage and show the world that they can compete and take over this division. We're also going to get a chance to see the Vikings defense. Can they shut down a big powered offense in Green Bay led by Aaron Rodgers? Are they going to be able to live up to the hype? Are they going to be able to rise to the occasion and show people, doubters like other people on the microphone over here right now? No, I'm just kidding. I mean, no, I have my doubts about the Packers too. I will say that, but I think that there's a lot there on this offense. I think they can definitely string together wins. Right now, technically, they hold the number 2 seed. So when you look at things from that perspective, they want to prove they belong to be there. I think a lot of times they've flown. I mentioned this the other day. I think they've flown under the radar a little bit because of how prolific San Francisco and New Orleans and Seattle has been this year. I think Green Bay is kind of waving over and, hello, we're still the number 2 seed here. What's going on? I think they realize they have a lot to prove too. So can they do it? Can they go ahead and prove it? We'll see. But to me, this has all the makings of a really great game, with the exception of Patriots-Bills tomorrow. This is probably the one I'll have the closest eye on. But also 49ers-Rams, I'm actually looking forward to that one as well. I think that's going to be a great matchup. That's going to determine a lot about how the NFC West is going to shake out. Just a lot of great games going on this weekend, and a lot of questions will be answered.
And I do need to point out, though, that in that Vikings-Green Bay game, the Vikings will be playing with basically one arm behind their back because Dalvin Cook will not play. And you're talking about 13 touchdowns and 1,100 yards rushing for Dalvin Cook.
That's a huge loss for them.
And I think we've all kind of realized that Kirk Cousins is still a pretty good quarterback. I mean, I don't like the fact that it's on Monday Night Football because we all know his record. He's 0 and a bazillion on national televised primetime games. So this isn't going to make it easier for him because, again, he's going to have to kind of get that monkey off his back and do so without his best weapon and perhaps their best offensive weapon. Again, you can argue Stephon Diggs or Adam Thielen. I mean, this team is right full of weapons, but Dalvin Cook is really what makes this team go because he's just so good. So it's going to be tough for them to overcome that. But considering that they're at home, that might give them a little added advantage. They're not going to have to worry about playing in the elements, going outside, and having to forcefully run the ball. So maybe they can rely on the passing game a bit. So I would be a little bit concerned and nervous, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to that game. It's going to be a great way to close out the weekend for sure.
Yeah, it truly will be a great matchup. And, it's good because it does give them the complete Monday night stage. And I think that, Kirk Cousins may have that in the back of his mind as well. You mentioned his record and his inability to come up big on the big stage and including a national stage like a Monday Night Football game. So, maybe he's trying to exercise some of those demons as well and trying to move forward. I agree with you. Without Dalvin Cook, that's going to be a difficult situation for them. No question about it. He's been one of their best offensive players this year, but good teams always find a way to do it when next man up is needed. And, if this is a year where the Minnesota Vikings are going to be able to prove that, then they have to find a way to be able to dig deep and to do it. It's not easy, and I'm not saying it is, and I'm not downplaying how much of a loss that is for them and how it weakens them. But at this time of year, injuries are something that you have to overcome, and you have to be ready to be able to deal with it. So I still look for a good game. I still think it's going to be a good game regardless, and it's going to be an exciting one. If you're a fan of NFC North football, this is one for you without any question.
When they met last back in September, it was a Green Bay victory. Dalvin Cook, 191 all-purpose yards from scrimmage. So, he had a nice game. Let's put it to put it bluntly. And good thing for them. They still got Adam Thielen. They still got Stephon Diggs out there. The bad news is this is probably not the game you want to be losing your best offensive weapons with the division on the line and the fact that, again, this NFC it's going to be a pain to get through, because if you happen to be one of those teams that has to play a few road games, you're not just playing any road game. Again, you have the potential excuse me, to go to to Green Bay, to New Orleans, to San Francisco, to Seattle. I mean, these are just, I mean, these are tough places to play, and I mean, all these teams are really good. So, seeding is crucial in the NFC, I think. I mean, like even in the upper tier of the 1 and 2 seed, it's like, man, if you can get that 1 seed, you're sitting pretty right now because again, you don't have to worry about going into some of these really intense environments. Again, Green Bay and San Francisco and Seattle and New Orleans. I mean, again, I mean, name one of those, any of those places you go to, you're dealing with the elements in terms of both the crowd and just the environment that you're in. Um, so yeah, I mean, this is a huge game. They're really going to have to overcome not having Dalvin Cook. And hey, you never know. Again, this could be Kirk Cousins, Steve Young, get your monkey off the back type game. Obviously not a Super Bowl, but in terms of winning a primetime game, I mean, you have to take baby steps before you can walk. And then obviously you have to walk before you can run. So. We gotta see and look, they're coming off a huge game, huge win over the Chargers, 39-10, and that's something that again you can build momentum off that. You can build some sort of confidence going forward, but you at the end of the day you still have to beat Green Bay, and fortunately for them, it's at home.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is one of those games, and I'm glad that you mentioned like the monkey off the back. And I said it earlier about exercising the demons. Yeah, this is one of those games where I think a team galvanizes itself when they know that they're going to be without a big star and you're going to be without one of your more prolific targets. You have to have other people step up. I always bring things back to the New England Patriots, and I'm sorry for doing that, folks, but I cover the team. It's part of my nature. It's ingrained. When the Patriots were without Rob Gronkowski, there were times where they had to play without him. They had to play without his expertise. People forget that they won a Super Bowl without Rob Gronkowski. Super Bowl 51, they were able to go in and they were able to find other guys that were able to get the job done. This is what teams do. So, we're not saying that Cook is going to be out long term or anything like that. Hopefully it's just, a blip on the radar screen and he'll be okay and back to action. But at the same time, it's a big game against Green Bay, and they wanted to have a full arsenal. So it's not ideal, but it doesn't mean that a victory is impossible in Minnesota this weekend. And if you're Green Bay, you have to be able and you have to be prepared to defend against some of their other, big prolific stars.
You there, Mike? Yep. It's all right. We had Mike cut out. This happens from time to time, given his internet up there in Rhode Island. So I'm gonna have to apparently carry the load here while Mike.
But yeah, I'm glad we spent a good amount of time on this because this is going to be a good one.
Well, once again, I'm sure this was the best thing that you said all show because you got cut off. So I'm guessing you just laid out the entire plan of how to maximize your 401k, invest wisely, and make a whole bunch of money. And unfortunately, the listeners and I did not hear it. So I guess we miss out.
Yes,
so.
and I actually revealed some very top secret government secrets that no one else has heard before. I got the clearance right between that window of 8:26 and 8:28 a.m. here on the East Coast, but unfortunately the window expired. Now the government shut me up again, so I can't say it anymore, folks. But I do apologize for that. It was pretty bad. So.
Man, I thought we were about to learn state secrets there, but oh well. Next time we'll try it. We'll try again. We'll hopefully your windows of openness will coincide with our show once again. But you already mentioned this game, San Francisco, Los Angeles. Obviously, this is a much bigger game for, I would say, San Francisco. Again, going back to the whole, you really need to get a good seed in the NFC if you want to give yourself a really strong edge. And San Francisco is a team that we talk about a lot. That they spent the majority of the season in first place or in one of those top 2 seeds. I mean, they were the last undefeated team along with the Patriots. So, this is a team that is coming off I'm not calling it a bad loss because again I think people forget how talented Atlanta is, so they're certainly capable of beating any team. They just don't know how to put it all together from week in to week out. They just happen to excuse me. They just happen to put it together against San Francisco though, and they beat them 29-22. Los Angeles on the other hand got shellacked by the Dallas Cowboys. First team over 500 that the Cowboys have beaten all season. But San Francisco, this is a big one. You can't drop this game. They're obviously they're neck and neck with the Seahawks right now for the division. From week to week, the 49ers are either the 1 seed or the 5 seed. So to say this is a must win would be an understatement if you're searching for that division title and that home field advantage. Jimmy Garoppolo has been playing much better in terms of producing 110 plus rating in 4 of his last 5. So he's going to have to step up. Obviously, Kittle, all these guys are going to have to make plays against a Rams team that, again, despite what their record is, they're 8-6, and I don't think anyone thinks they're really a great team. This is a divisional matchup in prime time. So you really can't put anything past these two teams, and we've seen it in the past when the Rams were really good and the 49ers weren't so great. These two teams still played very closely and very tightly, and that's something we see across a lot of divisions. So what's your gut telling you about this game? Because I'm not saying I'm worried about San Francisco, but if they lay a stinker, I would really start to panic about this team heading into the playoffs.
Well, the Rams are an anomaly this year. There have been times where they've looked like the defending
Yep.
NFC champions, and there's no question about it. They've got the talent to be able to do it on both sides of the ball.
They've pushed more towards Todd Gurley these last few weeks, and that's really started to change their offense a little bit. So they've been far more efficient. So.
Exactly, absolutely, and there's no question about it. With and say what you will about Jared Goff. I know he catches a lot of stuff in the in the press and for being inconsistent and for being overrated and whatnot. But this is still a quarterback that took his team to the Super Bowl last year. You don't get to that level without having some skill. Now, does it always mean that a player and a quarterback that gets to the Super Bowl is, a future Hall of Famer? No. I mean, we've seen several also-rans get to the Super Bowl and not be able to win it. But Jared Goff does have talent, and he is capable of moving the football in this offense and giving them a chance to win both through the air and facilitating the run game. The thing that worries me about the Rams is the inconsistency, because there are some times where they look great, and then you saw what they did against Dallas the other night and just completely went in and fell flat. And this has been a common thread with this team this year. I don't know if it's personnel. I don't know if it's just, maybe a Super Bowl hangover. I don't know what's going on in Los Angeles. But if they can put it all together, they can definitely take it to the 49ers. There's no question about it. 49ers are coming off of a tough loss to Atlanta. Now, losing to Atlanta, folks, is not necessarily the embarrassment that everybody thinks it is. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of talent in Atlanta this year. They've had a lot of hard luck. I think there's a reason why, their record is the way it is. I think there's just been some injury issues, some, things that have, gone awry when it comes to, their game planning and whatnot. But they do have the talent, and they can pretty much hang with anybody in the league one-on-one. So it doesn't really necessarily completely shock me that they lost to Atlanta. But now this is going to be a big game for San Francisco. How did they respond from a loss that they took that they shouldn't have taken? Mm-hmm. We've seen teams over and over again, not just New England. I won't bring up New England. We've seen other teams, in the league be able to do that. Take a loss that maybe they shouldn't have taken and then come back strong. That's how you build character. That's how you move forward. That's how you make deep runs into the playoffs. And that's how you win championships. So I agree with you. If San Francisco comes out sputters and they don't collect a win here, then I'm starting to worry a little bit, because on paper, even though the Rams do have a great amount of talent, I still think San Francisco is the more talented team. I think they're the better team. They should win this game. And if they don't, then you have to start to wonder about how they're going to fare in the playoffs and what their actual makeup is, especially if they run into teams that maybe have a little bit more playoff experience, like a Seattle or a New Orleans, or even like a Minnesota or a Green Bay. Those are going to be teams that may give them some difficulty. So we'll see what happens. But this is a big game for the 49ers, big statement game for the 49ers.
Yeah, and a good thing is, and we mentioned it yesterday, that they will be getting Richard Sherman back. So, obviously he's a huge leader on that team, and of course, helps give that defense an identity. I mean, Nick Bosa does a decent job too, but it's nice to have your full complement of weapons. And here I am fumbling for my schedule I had right in front of me, which I don't anymore. So, oh, here it is. Okay, here we go. Here we go. I got to have everything in front of me. I got to be organized because if not, then we just go off the rails and we start quoting Genesis songs and all that stuff. So I got to stay on track here. We do got a lot to talk about. Only 25 minutes left. Only 25 minutes left in this week, and then we have a short week next week. So a lot to talk about. But but yeah, so again, that 49ers Rams game is going to cap off what I think is going to be a pretty awesome Saturday of football. I mean, you got three really important games. Obviously, the latter two have playoff implications for both teams. I mean, not so much. I mean, I guess the Rams you can throw in that mix, but or I'm sorry, you can't really throw them in the mix. But the implications for the 49ers are so huge. That's why it's important. Obviously, the Bills and Patriots are fighting for the division, and the Texans are anticipating what should be a divisional showdown with the Titans in Week 17. So that's going to be good. We talked a little bit about the Browns and the Ravens, or at least the Browns yesterday in terms of some of the drama surrounding them. I look at this game against the Ravens, and maybe a few weeks ago, I would sit here and say, you know what, maybe the Browns have a chance to go in there and beat a team that maybe, because look, they beat them they're one of their two losses this season. They beat them 40-25 earlier this season, but I just don't see the Browns right now at this stage in the season as being a team capable of doing that. I feel like they're in such disarray right now. I don't see how they can pull it together to beat a team like the Ravens. So I'm really just anticipating Baltimore just going about their business and handling this one pretty well.
Yeah, they're going to put this away pretty quickly, folks. I mean, Cleveland's another. They're an anomaly. I mean, there's talent on both sides of the football. They had a lot of high expectations this year. I was one of those guys that bought into it. I didn't quite pick the Cleveland Browns to make the playoffs, but I thought they'd at least be pushing and have a very good chance and maybe even an inside track on a wild card spot. That team has been disappointing this year, and I don't think it's because of talent. I think it's because of attitude, and I think it's because of lack of coaching and lack of leadership. So because of that, they're limping along toward the end of the season. Not a whole lot to play for. Baltimore is a juggernaut. They're clicking on all cylinders. They're going to come in. They're going to want to just keep compiling wins. I don't think this is a team in the Baltimore Ravens that's going to have a letdown and kind of just get caught off guard. Now, that being said, you never know. If there's a team out there with talent to be able to do it, it's the Cleveland Browns. If they could somehow put together a complete game, this could end up being interesting. The chances are I'm not going to go all full Dean Wormer on you and go 0.0, but it's probably like Daniel Simpson Day, 0.6. Well, actually, no. Daniel Simpson Day he had no grade point average. All classes incomplete. That was we'll go with Dorfman 0.6. Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son. And
that kind of sums up the Browns pretty well, actually.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Exactly. As a matter of fact, you could, and this is awful, I should probably say this, but if someone could side by side Kent Dorfman's picture with the Baker Mayfield press conference, I think he's kind of got almost the same look in his eyes. You know? I mean, obviously Baker is in a lot better shape than Dorfman, but you just look at the eyes. I think it really is the same type of look, that sheepish look that he gives Wormer. Yeah, exactly. Befuddlement. Yes. Bewilderment. Yes. Betwixt and between, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, if anybody could really side by side those, hint, my friend, that could be
okay.
a pretty good.
I'll do that.
I'm kidding. I'm joking. No, but no. In all actuality, no. I mean, bringing it back to reality, I do believe that Baltimore's just going to go in and they're going to rail in this one. And I mean, for Cleveland, I think it's only going to add the icing on the cake for an off season where there's going to need to be a lot of questions answered. Do they move forward with this group? Can they take this nucleus, replace the head coach, and bring somebody in that can bring everybody together, put them all on the same page, and play like the Cleveland Browns are capable of playing on paper? Or do they start selling off pieces here and say, you know what, we got to dredge, whatever we can, and we got to start building from the ground up?
Yes, that's right. Well said. Well put. Nice little. No, I agree. I think this Browns team. Look, I would love to say 0.0.
0.0.
Yes. No, I would love to say that, but I'm kind of with you there. I think there is like maybe a 0.6% chance because again, and it's not saying that the Ravens aren't as good or anything. It's just the utter um wildness that is the Cleveland Browns. So again, they could go out there and look like a Super Bowl contending team, and it wouldn't shock me because of the talent. And maybe I'm getting fooled because of it. Maybe I'm putting far too much on Freddie Kitchens and the coaching staff because I do think that they are the biggest issue, and I think that resonates with players being issues. And again, that speaking about the wide receivers. They're an issue because I think the coaching is an issue, and that has a trickle down effect. So, but I don't think it's going to happen. But again, we could come in here on Monday and be like, you know what, Eh, we tried to talk ourselves into it. We tried to talk ourselves into the Ravens just steamrolling it, but maybe the Browns do come in and you know go 2-0 against the Ravens, and again, we'll be sitting here on Monday saying
I was wrong.
that's right. We were wrong. No, look, I don't see it happening. I put it at like again a 95% chance that the Ravens are going to win this game. I think they handle it pretty well. I mean, Lamar Jackson's on fire. 5 touchdowns last week, 134 point whatever rating, whatever it was. Um, I just don't see it, and I think this is just one more step closer to the eventual implosion of what this team is or what this team was built to be this year. Because I don't think this is, I don't think this is going to take just a quick fix here and there. I think this is a trade a couple pieces, move on from the head coach, reevaluate your overall philosophy as to how you're moving forward with this team, and yeah, a big beat down by the Ravens is going to go a long way to pushing that. So we'll see. We'll see. It'll be entertaining, to say the least. At least watching Lamar Jackson will be entertaining. I mean, I
Oh,
don't
it
know.
will. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know how entertaining the Browns are going to be. You can only watch Baker Mayfield sail passes over Odell Beckham Jr. So many times before you get tired of it. But
Well, I have a little impromptu prop bet for you here.
oh, okay.
Being that it's
All
Friday,
right.
we got some impromptu
That's
prop bets. I have one for you, my
Ooh,
friend.
let's do it.
Over under 3 actual tangible come get me's from either Odell Beckham or Jarvis Landry in the direction of the Baltimore Ravens.
Well, let's clarify real quick. Is this a come at me after the game or a audible on the sidelines? Hey, come get me. We're gonna catch you talking to someone. Because I think we might get a few reports. I would say we might get ooh, I'd say right at 2 or 3. Maybe we're gonna get a couple more. We're gonna get a couple more guys saying like, "Man, I wish I was with the Ravens. I wish I was playing with Lamar Jackson. The 32nd pick, the last pick of the first round that year, not the first pick. So I'll say the under, but barely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's very, very interesting. I think you're onto something there. It just happened to pop inside my head. I mean, supposedly they were saying to the Arizona Cardinals, "Come get me" last week, and there you go. I know Jarvis Landry did, debunk that, and he denied that, but it'll be interesting to see what happens if you hear that in the press or if you can actually get something tangible. I know I said tangible, which means that we'd have to actually hear it from them, but that's going to be really, really tough to get.
Whoa. Hold on. We're talking about the standards set by fandom surrounding the NFL. Conjecture and assumption and paranoid accusations
and on that basis,
that counts as tangible in the eyes of most NFL fans. So you're right on point, man. It was very tangible.
Yeah,
you
on
could sink
that
your
basis,
teeth in that.
anything is possible. I mean, we saw a few years ago with Deflategate about the laws of physics and people trying to prove things. And, I can prove the PSI and I can prove this and I can prove that. Yeah, well, you know what? Theoretical physics can prove that an elephant can hang from a cliff with its tail tied to a daisy. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's true, that it's going to happen. Use your eyes, use your common sense.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I got sidetracked. I think at Deflategate, something comes out of
Niagara Falls.
It just happens. It just happens.
Slowly I turn. Step by step.
Inch. I kicked him. All right, that's it.
Talk about aging yourself.
Now we've really gone way back into the Wayback Machine with the Three Stooges, which still some of the funniest comedy you'll ever see out there, folks. you know, absolutely. And feel free to okay boomer me on that one, but I'll stand by it, and I'll fight to the death to say that the Three Stooges right now in terms of comedy is just as good as, if not better than, anything that you'll see out there today. But in any case, when we get back to the Ravens and the Browns, yeah, I thought that might be a fun drop in just to see what happens, because obviously, I mean, the Ravens are the hot team right now. Everybody is picking them as their Super Bowl favorite. Some people are labeling them as unstoppable. I think that's a little high. I think that's a little high in terms of expectations. But look, they are the number one team in the league right now. That's undisputed. And you look at the way this team is playing. It'll be interesting to see if someone like Jarvis Landry has any comments to make about possibly wanting to join that club next year. Yeah. We haven't seen the super team in the NFL right now. I think the Cleveland Browns tried to do it this year, and that didn't work. But I don't know. I don't think honestly, the NFL really lends into that.
No, I was going to say, when has it ever worked? I mean, again, I kind of laugh, and I really don't. I mean, here's the thing: it's like I don't really have a response to it, or people say like, oh, the Patriots couldn't win a Super Bowl with Randy Moss, or they couldn't win a Super Bowl with that super team, and I'm like, I mean, yeah, you're right. I can't say you're wrong, but I mean, we're talking about 90 seconds away from an undefeated season, so I think you have to put some context into it. So I guess that super team kind of worked. You've had some other really good teams with a bunch of talent win some games, but for the most part, when these teams get thrown together like they have, like this, it never really works. Again, we keep bringing up the 08 or 09 Eagles, the Vince Young, greatest team ever. That team, they didn't do jack. I mean, they went 9-7 or whatever it was. So yeah, in the NFL, it takes more than just throwing a collection of talent together, and these are concerns that I think we had for the Browns heading into the season. I just don't think it was going to happen so spectacularly the way that it has for this team, where the coaching has just been so awful, the discipline has been horrendous, and of course the surprise, the personalities in the room are starting to really stick out for the Browns, and that's not a good thing, especially when you're losing and you're falling massively short of your expectations, and that's the key thing too. If this Browns team was just another Browns team, this would actually be probably a pretty good season in terms of win-loss and improving. But this team came in with such high expectations; they were dangerous, quote unquote, and they bought into it. And that makes this fall from assumed to grace even worse, because they expected to be a playoff team. They expected to compete for a Super Bowl because they know they're talented. But again, a collection of talent doesn't necessarily mean wins, and that's true in any aspect of football. So yeah, so that'll be interesting. Obviously, excuse me. I'm doing all right. Apologize. I'm dying over here, Mike.
No, you'll be fine.
Yeah,
take some Robitussin. It'll be okay.
Yeah, just have some tussin.
Have
some tussin. What was I saying? Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I will obviously be paying close attention to the Browns in the offseason, because I think that will be a fun storyline to kind of pay attention. Moving on, the Le'Veon Bell game. Yes, that's right. The New York Jets are hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, again, the Jets are technically still in the playoff hunt. Technically, I'm technically still eligible to play in the NHL, but again, my percentage, since sticking with the same thing, my percentage of hope in terms of getting to that point is at that 0.6 mark that we talked about earlier. So again,
yes,
it's still there.
Ian is at the
I'm
Dorfman
still alive.
level. Yeah,
that's right. Again, I'm eligible to run for president in 2 years. Am I going to do
that's
it?
right.
It's potentially. We'll see.
Well, hey, who knows?
Glendon
the
debate
job might be
2020.
open. The job might be opening up soon. Who knows?
Yeah,
you never
know.
Well, we're not going to get into that, folks. Yeah, this is not the forum. And You don't want any
No.
political talk from Ian and I anyway. So
No,
that's
well,
it.
one, I'm
You
gonna
guys
be,
are here.
I'll be
Yeah.
so incredibly ill-informed, and you'll notice very quickly on that I just don't care. I know, and I'm not insulting. I know Mike has a little bit of a political background. He's far more knowledgeable of the subject than I am, and there's a lot of people that know a lot more about it than I do. I just don't
Oh, and there's a
care.
lot
I'm
more that know a
I'm
lot more about it than I
I'm
do too.
I'm
And yeah,
Tommy Lee Jones in The Fugitive right now. I don't care. I
yeah.
don't, so. Don't worry, folks. You won't get political talk out of me, unless it's little jokes here and there. But again, we tend to avoid those. But anyways, Le'Veon Bell, obviously former Steeler, hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Jets, not so much the Jets being in it, but the Steelers are still in the mix for a wild card
Mhm.
berth with a collection of teams like the Titans, the Texans. Obviously, the Steelers are in that mix, and right now I think they hold that final playoff spot, so they will have an opportunity to further cement their improbable, really, trip to the playoffs if that's the case. Because I don't think anyone thought when Roethlisberger went down, or even before when they got shellacked. I mean, when they got beat up by the Patriots in opening week, I thought this team was. I thought they took a little bit of a step back last year. I thought they were going to continue that, especially without Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, both of them not being on the field. I thought this team wasn't going to be that great, and that was before Ben Roethlisberger went down with an injury. So the fact that they are now on their third quarterback, Duck Hodges will get another start, and they're on the cusp of going to the playoffs. That's pretty impressive, and good for them. And this is a big game because again, the Jets are a team that maybe not quite like the Browns or the Rams. They have some talent, and they're certainly capable of playing some pretty decent football. I could see them coming in and beating the Steelers, no doubt. I just think the Steelers are too good of a team right now to beat a Jets. I think Mike Tomlin over Adam Gase every day of the week, and I'm not even a big Mike Tomlin fan. So that just kind of speaks volumes as to what I think Adam Gase is as a coach. So yeah, I mean, important in terms of Steelers attempting to get to the playoffs, and I think that's going to be one of those really great. Really great storylines of the season. And again, if you want to go back, this is a rematch of a AFC Championship game from not too long ago. So
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I like the Steelers in this one as well. I mean, there's no question about it. I think they're playing very well. I think they're playing at a high level, not just the level of play that you see on the field, but I think they're playing with a lot of energy. I think they're playing with a lot of confidence, and they're playing with something to play for. The Jets are another team. You mentioned Cleveland and Los Angeles, and I think that's a very adept comparison. This is a team with a lot of talent, but just hasn't been able to bring it all together. And you have to look at the intangibles. Maybe it is coaching that allows this team not to be able to do it. Maybe there are a few malcontents in the locker room that are throwing things off. I know losing Sam Darnold earlier on in the year to mononucleosis did throw, I think, a wrench into the plans of exactly how this team wanted to operate, and it really probably impeded his growth level this year. But that is a team that can string together, some talent to be able to win a game. Is this the game that they can do it? It's definitely possible. I don't see it. I think Pittsburgh is clicking on all cylinders. I think they win this one. And ultimately, I think they're going to be in the playoffs. I think they've played well enough in the AFC. I don't see any other team being able to chip at their heels to try to do it. I think they've got a really good shot, and I think eventually they will end up getting in to the playoffs this year as a wild card entry for the AFC.
yeah, and it'll be interesting. I don't think that they would win a game. I mean, you would think they would have to play one of probably Houston or Kansas City in the opening round, and then
Yeah.
probably likely play
Kansas
the
City's
Ravens
a tough
if they
draw.
win.
Houston,
So
yeah. Kansas City's a tough draw. Houston, I don't know. Again, we've talked about Houston so many times, and I love Deshaun Watson. He's one of my favorite players to watch in this league. I can watch him play the quarterback position for a good amount of time and not get bored at all. He's that good and he's that talented. But the level of him needs to always rise to the occasion. And we've seen this Houston Texans team let down a little bit this year. Just when you think they need to come in and have a huge game, they don't. Yeah, ooh, yeah, Reedy Savage, ooh, yeah. But in any case, that was great. That woke me right up. That's great.
cream
Little Randy
rises to the
Savage
top.
Yes, that injects you. You know, yep, pomp in the circumstance. Oh yeah, Elizabeth. All right. So anyway, what were we talking about?
I
Yeah,
don't know.
it really
I
doesn't.
think you were telling us how you're going to do an entire show in Randy Savage's voice one day. So
Yeah, I don't think my throat muscles are up to that, folks. I'm sorry
Mangy.
about that.
Yes.
I don't know how Randy did it, but he did it. But from what I understand, he actually talked that way. I've heard several, wrestlers and people that knew him and said that, obviously it was amped up. I mean, he was, he wasn't as animated, but his
Let
normal
me
speaking
get the
voice was
number
way down
5
there,
with a
Yeah.
Coke.
Well, let me get a
Oh,
number
yeah.
5.
I'm just picturing him
Don't
just
put
doing
any of that special don't put any of that special sauce on there. Don't like it. Nope. Don't dig it. Yeah. But in any
picturing
case,
like everyday activities done in the voice of like Randy Savage, like, oh yeah, I want you to take about an inch off and then trim the back hair. Oh yeah, and make sure the gel rises to the top so it doesn't sit and settle down. I don't know. I'm just ribbing
damn
here.
it! I'm out of coffee creamer. Gonna go to the Trader Joe's around the corner.
Yeah. Oh, poor.
What's
Oh
with the
man,
green bananas over here? Come on, But no. In any case, oh man, why did we go off the rail on that?
Oh,
one?
Hey, it's Friday. Anything goes, man. It's Friday. We got
It's
5
Friday,
minutes left in
flush
the week.
beat format here on FBC Radio Live. But yeah, when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'll try to rein us back in. When it comes to Steelers and the Jets here, yeah, I do end up thinking that the Steelers will. I'm not so sure that the Texans might be the immediate out for them. I think if they have to play Kansas City, I think that's going to be a very tough game for them. I think that that would probably be a one and done, but you never know. That's why they play the games on the field, not on paper. We talked about a New York Giants team that was 9-7. We all know what happened there. We're not going to bring up what happened there, but we do know that teams can limp into the playoffs, barely get in, and if they get hot, they can make some things happen. So we'll see. That's what makes this year in the NFL so amazing.
All right, real quick, who will suck less, the Redskins or the Giants this week?
Oh, oh man, you're really gonna make me choose this one?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Washington fans. I'm gonna go with the Washington fans. Yeah, yes, we will split the suck in half and give each. Newman, you are wise. No, in any case, I don't know. I'll flip a coin here. I'll say, I'm sorry, Redskins fans. I'll go Washington on this one. I think maybe the Giants ride a little of that era of good feelings from Eli last week and Daniel Jones coming back in. I think maybe it gives them a little bit to play for. Maybe they go out there and try to play with a little bit of pride. So I'll say Big Blue, does a little bit better of a job than the Washington team this weekend.
And how big of a game? I know Matt Patricia has gotten the vote of confidence moving forward, at least for 2020 season. But
which would scare the hell out of me.
Yes, exactly.
Patricia, right?
So, how big of a game is this for them to beat the 5-9 Broncos? And I know, of course, obviously Matt Stafford hasn't played in weeks, and he will not be back. But 3-10-1 is not something you want for your third season under the Matt Patricia reign, or second season. Rather.
Yeah, I mean, if they lose this game and they drop this game to the Denver Broncos, I'm sorry. I think that there's probably a little bit of heat on the seat from Matt Patricia. I know they've given him the vote of confidence. I know they say, oh, they'll be back. Quinn's been given the vote of confidence as well. But I mean, you have to take a look and just realize that maybe these guys aren't buying. Maybe they're not, the type of players that he's going to need to succeed. But, you never know. If Detroit does come out and win this game, and they win this game pretty handily, or they put this game away without having to eke by, then I think it will save Patricia's job, because ultimately I think the Lions are trying to build something. Maybe they do see his vision. Maybe between Patricia and Quinn, they can put something together. Because again, there is talent in Detroit. Mm-hmm. It just hasn't been able to be harnessed. And maybe if they can get the right players in, things can happen. But yeah, well, I'll say Detroit wins it.
Yeah, and I'm inclined to give Patricia at least the benefit of the doubt here, because again, if we remember his first season, he was saddled with coaching staff from the previous regime, and then of course this year Matt Stafford was off to one of his best starts, and he's obviously missed a significant amount of time. So I do think he deserve that at least this another year, but I think the pressure is going to start heating up, and I think a lot has to do with how he finishes these last 2 weeks of the season. So we'll see how it goes. But Mike. We're wrapping up yet another great week here at FPC Radio, and again, we had a lot of games to talk about this weekend, and we got through some of them, and I'm hoping that we've figured out our technical issues, so we will be on air over the weekend for FPC NFL Live. I know I'm joined by Terrence Biggs and Brandon Ray for that, so hopefully we will jump into these games more often. But next week, Monday, is our big time Festivus show. We will be going for 2 hours, folks, because we're going to be off Tuesday and Wednesday. So join us starting at 7 a.m. You're going to be up for that. I'm going to have a lot of coffee. 7 a.m. That's right.
7 a.m.
So starting 7 a.m. Monday, December the 23rd. That's right, Festivus. Get your polls ready. Get your grievances set, because we're going to be hitting it hard on Monday. So until then, give us a follow on Twitter. It's at FPC Radio Live. I am at IGLEN31. He is at MDABATEFPC. If you are listening on Full Press Radio, Snowman in the Morning is coming up right now from 9 to noon, followed by College Credit Hour. Folks, enjoy the weekend, enjoy the NFL action, and get ready, because the playoffs are just around the corner. Have a great day. Have a great week. Have a great weekend, everyone.